Dolphins. The gains, Jake Averillo, Herbie Farnworth, Thomas Flegler, and Oren Keeley from the Knights. Jez might be able to tell us a bit more about Keeley there from his loved Newcastle Knights. The losses, Herman SES's off to Hull, so off to Super League once again for you, Adam. You'll be chuffed with that one. Kawasa Farmasili off to the Bulldogs, and Oliver Gildart's stint in the NRL is over and back over to Super League with Hull as well. Boys, I really rate this recruitment drive. It is three really quality players who I feel like will do a lot moving forward for the Dolphins. Where are you boys at with it? Jez, I'll start with you. The gains and losses for the Dolphins.
Yeah, big fan. Getting two Broncos players straight from a grand final, straight into the squad. I think that's humongous. And I think that's the pulling power of Wayne Bennett. So obviously looking towards that future as well, having Herbie and Thomas in there. So I really like this recruitment as well. I think they're three. I don't know too much about Oren. Hopefully he knocks the door down and it gives it a red hot crack. But the three above him, that's some pretty good signings and some pretty good positions.
Yeah, no, you make a good point there. And I think for mine, Herbie Farnworth has developed into, for mine, he's the best center in the competition, if not in the top three. I don't think there's no doubt about that. So to have these sorts of quality of players, like there's always been that talk about not having that marquee player. I think what they have in Farnworth and Flegler as well, who's growing, and even Averillo, is they're starting to get those quality players come through. Adam, I don't think we can keep underestimating the Dolphins.
Yeah, I guess one of the things the Dolphins struggled with last year was their recruitment. Obviously, they got some players, but if they got every player they were rumored to get, they obviously would have finished a lot higher than they did. So, see them come with three pretty big signings obviously shows that it's the impressive year they had. Obviously, these players have seen the club they've built, the support they've had, and decided to jump on board. They're obviously the good coach as well. As you said, obviously, Farnworth probably was the best centre in the game last year. But in saying that's the only year he has been, so he's got to obviously reproduce that to continue to hold that title. Averillo, once again, I touched on this with the Bulldogs, very surprised they let him go, and they obviously will help him up there as well. Not they've really lost much anyway. But as for this Oren Keeley, I did a bit of research on him just then when Jeremy was talking because I had no idea who he was either. But he's played two first-grade games for Newcastle, one each year, 2022, 2023. Come through a Knight system, Harold Matts, SG Ball, born and bred in Gosford. So once again, another good local junior that the Knights have probably let go. So let's hope he achieves a lot at the Dolphins.
Perfect. Mick, I want to talk to you, but quickly, it's Jez's favourite part of this is the re-signings and the off-contract list, which we haven't gone over yet. Tom Gilbert re-signed to 2028, which I think is massive. But I think he basically, once he was injured, I think the Dolphins went downhill. He's really the heart and soul of that forward pack at the moment. Sarko, 2026, Lumi till 2025, Jeremy Marshall-King, 2025, and the Hammer, 2027 as well, Tessie New for 2024. So some good big names to build from there. Obviously, off-contract list coming into the end of this season, some of the big names. I guess Jesse Bromwich, will be interested to see what he does. I guess maybe retirement might be on the cards for Jesse, or maybe just one of those one-year contracts. The MILF could be off to Super League. I think there was rumours that he was about to go off to Super League, but he's still there. He's still training.
I think MILF's got a big season ahead of him. I think he's got a few people that are standing in his way, and I wouldn't be surprised if, Adam, he's one of your main ones that does find himself over in the Super League pretty quickly.
That's to the top of Adam's list for sure.
He should have been there about 3 seasons ago after he had that year at the Knights.
Yeah, the
I'm
Knights
surprised
gave
he
him a
stuck
bit of
around this
lifeline.
long. He was one of the benefits of the fact that the Dolphins couldn't attract a big signing. He just kind of fell into that one.
Yeah.
Big one for mine.
Just in the losses, Joel, they've got Branko Lee, who's been released, and JJ Collins was unsigned. So just two missing from that losses list.
Oh, look out. I can see some of the YouTube in that comments as well. Keep all these comments coming through, guys. And if you are a YouTube watcher, make sure you subscribe to the page. It does go a long way to helping us grow. Mick, let us know your thoughts. The Dolphins, this gains and losses. You might not know this, but we also do a rating out of 10 for the recruitment drive for this year. You can kick us off.
Look, Flegler and Farnworth are probably two of the best buys of the off-season. Like Flegler's going to keep their engine room ticking along. But my concern for the Dolphins is the halves. I think any team without two top-line halves in the NRL, you may as well write them off before the season even starts. Some might think that's pretty harsh, but I don't know. So, yeah, it just depends.
Hang on. Don't come in here and change up the way we do things. We get to the concerns. Right now, we talk about the recruits, and then we get to the positives for the Dolphins and reasons why they can go well in the competition, and then we get to concerns. I've asked you for the recruitment, please, and you're rating at 10.
Right. Very good recruiting. I'll give that let's go a 7 because I don't really know what the benchmark is.
Oh, okay.
I can give you some. Yeah, I can give you some past ratings. So we gave the Warriors, we gave them a 9, a 10, and an 8.5 for their signings and losses.
Who gave them a 10?
The Roosters.
Who did they sign? Who did they sign? You might want to.
I can't remember. That was ages ago. Roosters, we gave a 9, an 8.5, and a 9. The Raiders, we gave a 5, a 4.5, and a 4. Tigers 7.57, Titans 6.5, 6. So there's your sort of benchmarks. So
I'd say about a 7 or 8. If they'd have got themselves a good half, it'd be a 9.
You can't sit on the fence. It's got to be a 7 or 8. You can go 7.5.
7. 7 to represent the halfback that they didn't sign.
that they're missing.
Yes.
No, that I had playmaking down as a concern because we're just jumping straight to it because, you know, we've got two Martins in here and they just run the roost. The edge defense was a big worry last year as well. So having a bit more muscle in those centers, I think that might assist them in their season as well, playing some finals footy.
Yeah. Adam, what about your rating, Jez? You haven't given them the rating out of 10.
Ooh, let's go an 8.5. No. 9.
Ooh, there we go.
9 out of 10.
Adam, what do you got?
I'm giving them a 7.5. Look, obviously they've signed some players that, as I touched on, were good last year and did some wonderful things last year. Let's not forget Jake Arborillo stood out in the Bulldogs team that was pretty rubbish. Herbie Farnworth has pretty much only had the one good year, and there's a bit of pressure that comes with that now for him going to a big club, like a new club, given what he performed last year. And Flegler, I've got no doubt Flegler performed. So I'm not going to go too high because I think all those players, except Arborillo, he's going to a better team. But Farnworth and Flegler, they're going to a weaker team, so they're probably going to find it a bit harder. So 7.5 for me.
I can see some comments already coming in for you, whether it's during this video or afterwards.
The Dolphins have fans. They're the ones that supported the Broncos last year, or comment for the Broncos year before, or
yeah, everyone's second team. You know, for what they've got to work with, and let's not forget this year's market was pretty bare. There wasn't much talent around, and they definitely do need to work on their halves, but there was no halves around that they could actually sign. So I'm up there with Jez. I'm giving it a 9. I really do like the recruitment drive for the Dolphins. Now, before we get into the concerns, we already know a couple out there. Some of these guys have jumped ahead, but let's go for reasons for a really good season ahead. I think the fact that it's Wayne Bennett's last season with the Dolphins will be a massive drive, and he won't go quietly. I have no doubt the Dolphins will be a sort of a top 8 side. There's too much quality players there now. That back line, you've just got to – they've got some real go hard, go forward meter eaters really in their forward pack. And if they can just set a foundation up and get this back line to sing, I'd honestly go and say it's probably in the top 3 or 4 back lines in the competition this year. So there's some definite strike out wide. They've just got to make sure they can use it.
No, you're drunk. I'm going with some. I'm going to try and find a positive, and the positive is you can't write off a Wayne Bennett coach team, and I guess the momentum building of, even though where they finished, they started the year well last year. They did have a successful first year. They're expected to be right down the bottom last year, and obviously overachieved there. But that's my positive. I'll get back to the concerns when we get there.
If Mick. Does he have any positives?
Oh, yeah, the back line's fantastic. And, you know, Wayne Bennett, the history speaks for itself. I just I've always, as I said before I was cut off and told not to talk about it. That's so. The positives are definitely the back line. You just got to get that back line into some space, I suppose.
I'll give you one more positive. Just looking at their draw, because draws are obviously important. They only leave Queensland once in the first 11 rounds, and in that one time, they go to Darwin against Parramatta. They then go to New Zealand, and then they're back again. So in the first 14 rounds, they've got 2 games out of Queensland. So if you want to talk about obviously starting the season well, like they did last year, they've got it pretty easy there. They've actually got a very easy draw where they don't seem to have a lot of Sydney trips, to be honest.
Yeah.
Fair.
One of
I
the
think
mentioning Felice staying on the field, which I think is a good call as well.
yeah,
Jess?
keep him on there. And I think also they've got the Bromwich brothers that they might even put in a pretty good stint for, because I dare say that might be, if one goes, I think they'll both go. So this could be a really big year for them if the Dolphins pull it together for those as well. And if Felice Kafusi keeps his arms down, he will stay on the field, and because he makes such a difference when he is in the team. But he's just one of those ones that gives away that stupid penalty, just can't tackle properly when he needs to, and takes people's heads off. So if he stays on the park, they're a quality side. But I think there was a couple of times when teams came up against them last year, and you look at them on paper and you go, this could be really interesting. And then they kind of just fell away. So whether or not they didn't gel completely, but I think they did, as Adam said, had a really positive first year, where I think they kind of had a free year. Your first year in, the expectations, I think you're not playing to any sort of standard. You're setting that standard. So, yeah, I'm excited to see where the Dolphins go. And if they play in that black kit that we all like, oof, it's going to be good.
I was about to say, that's a positive for me. That black kit's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
I guess now you can go on to your negatives, Mick.
Wow, I've said it 3 times, haven't I? Just halves. No halves.
Yeah.
Just the 2 of them?
Well, and any reserves they got, I guess. So, and I don't know, I've heard some people, and this could be pretty wild, but I've got some friends that consider Bennett to be a negative.
Go on.
Go on. Yeah, you got to go.
Can't drop a bombshell and then just go quiet.
Well,
it's a podcast, remember? We do release this as a podcast.
Yeah. So I guess it's been a while since he's actually achieved a win of the comp. He was close with South in a pretty stacked South team and before he left. And, I mean, we talked about how the Dolphins in their first year, there's a few times we expected a bit more from him, but they hadn't sort of gelled. And, he's getting on a bit. I just think rugby league evolves and the game changes, and I'm questioning if me and some of my mates I was talking the other day, just questioning if he's still in the what's the word I'm looking for? If his coaching style is
top tier of coaches.
If his coaching style or coaching ethos is still relevant to a modern NRL game.
I like that. So would you be upset if Parramatta announced that they signed Wayne Bennett?
Yes.
Oh, that's a really good question.
Yeah, I'm known from time to time.
I wouldn't be upset, but I don't think he's the best coach out there that Parramatta could get.
Yeah, it'd be Bellamy.
Absolutely. And if they're not, they should be throwing everything at him now for when he wants to leave Melbourne. Dangle the carrot.
Yeah, but then if you think that, you're right up this year with your current coach.
Anyway, so that's pretty, as I said, pretty wild. He could be considered a negative, I reckon, at times, and I'd probably agree with that. Surely a lot of the Newcastle supporters would agree with that too, given the history.
Yeah, I've just seen.
There was lots of excitement when he came, but that excitement dwindled. But we got to that semi where Badiris got his head taken off. So
yeah, he'll get you to the promised land, but he might get you the ring. Is that what we're saying?
He'll lead you to water, but you got to drink it per se.
I'm gonna get to my concerns, and my concern is their aging forward pack. Besides Flegler, you go through their predicted team, which I got up. You got Jesse Bromwich, who's getting on. Legler, obviously not too old, but big signing. Pressure comes with being a big signing. Kafusi's getting on. Kenny Bromwich is getting on, and Tom Gilbert has been around quite a while as well, who I don't think is really that strong a player since he's left Brisbane. Then you got Ray Stone on the bench, Jared Wallace getting on, and Mark Nichols. They look at their forward pack; it's pretty aging forward pack in what is such a quick game. I know obviously got quick outside backs, but I guess if you're relying on your outside backs to make meters, it probably uses up what's in their tank for the attacking opportunities. And the other concern is I don't think having an out-and-out hooker. I know he was good last year, but Jeremy Marshall-King is not an out-and-out hooker. And I think you need an out-and-out hooker who can be a bit more creative with that aging forward pack.
Ooh,
Nice.
interesting.
Good points.
I think Jeremy Marshall-King has established himself as a hooker, though. It'd just be interesting. This will be a big test this year. I think for him, for young Katoa in the halves as well, who's still improving his game. There's a couple of that's fine. Even the Hammer to a certain extent, who played really good last year. They've got to consolidate that with a very solid year this year. Just a quick special shout out to the Instagram followers. I didn't realize that I have to actually click back over to Instagram to check the comments and things like that. So I'll get onto that now as we keep going. So please post your comments and stuff. I was waiting for them to pop up on the comments here, but apparently StreamYard and Instagram aren't fully paired up yet. It's just
if you're on the gram, you've got Facebook. So just slide across to the Facebook and put your comments in there. Much easier.
Yeah, I'll do that. So look, let's give our predicted finish in the brackets. Remember, we don't have the actual position. So I'll kick us off. I will say something about the Dolphins. I think there's something special happening this year. I'm going to go 4-8. Oh, 5-8, sorry.
5-8.
Yeah. Back half of the 8. Jez, I'll go down here. We'll just go down.
9-12. 9-12. They're going to just miss it, I think. Just miss it.
Yeah. Adam?
I've got them 9-12. And just looking at their draw, there's a bold prediction here as well. Playing Newcastle in round 27, with Newcastle playing for a final spot, the Dolphins being out of contention, and the Dolphins ending Newcastle's season.
And in this fantasy land, did Parramatta finish first? Undefeated the whole season.
We haven't got to Parramatta yet. You'll have to wait till next week to find that result.
Hey, I couldn't jump ahead.
He can't contain himself. He has to have something about the Knights in every single episode.
There has been a lot of times in that last game at Newcastle, which is usually Old Boys Day, where they're playing a team looking to go into the finals when Newcastle are being an absolutely shit house, and Newcastle ruined that. E.g. South Sydney, I think Cronulla might have been another one, Jeremy, a few years back as well.
Yep.
So I just think they're due to cop one on Old Boys Day, and everyone in this area is jumping on the Dolphins as the second team. So the Dolphins will have some support there. I can just see it happening. It's a bold prediction, all right?
Up the vanilla cokes.
Mick?
I'm going to go 9-12 as well, but I reckon closer to the 12. Because
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.